That's how the work looks like.
The music industry, it's a very difficult place to be. It's not an easy industry to be working in. It takes lots of courage and lots of work and lots of things that you need to do in order to be surviving from this industry, not even making money, just surviving.
And only for me being here, it's a huge expression for me and my surroundings to realize that I'm not only a mother, I'm a musician, an active one. I want to be an active one. I want to work as much as they do and to combine everything.
I applied to this project because I'm from an underrepresented region, I'm an emerging artist, but personally I never really felt that I don't have the opportunity, even though I come from a smaller country, smaller city. And sometimes I thought, girls are overreacting or, oh, bullshit that you don't have the opportunity. Everyone has an opportunity, but actually coming here, listening to the stories, connecting with some people and seeing and experiencing what they've been through their stories made me realize, you've been so ignorant.
I hope it could be an example for other people to try and make some projects similar to this, because it's a really good project. I'm enjoying being here, and I think we need to make more projects for women, because every time I see women being like, wow, so we can do that. Like, we women can do this, we are capable of doing all this stuff. And yeah, we should empower women, because until you start, you don't really understand the deepness of the problem, because like you think, oh, okay, yeah, but women do stuff. And then you come, you communicate with people, you understand which experiences they have. They talk about inequality in the business, they talk about men who were pressuring them or even worse things. And then you can really understand that we have the problem and we need to do something about it.
One of the major, effects it has as a problem, for example, for the community, is that it gives examples. And for me, growing up in Athens, I didn't have these examples. I had to break through so many layers of, other types of scenes and other types of creators, and literally kind of make my own way and choose my team very carefully and make it work for me, and fail, do the trial and error thing so many times that I was ready to quit music at some point. I had to go through so many waves, but this thing that's happening here, when someone sees that, especially a woman, she may think, oh wait, there are things happening that include us as producers, as engineers, as creators, as musicians. So wait, I need to rethink this. I can find the platform to go and fit into something, work through that. I'm not alone, which is very important to me, because growing up I felt alone. And seeing even from abroad, people doing it, step by step with their own money as production funds and everything, I was shocked, and I was persistent. So I think that this is the major effect that this has for even younger people right now, younger women who are thinking about this, to make them more assertive and make them more sure about themselves and go and try to do it. We need more women to do it. We need this side to be a bit more, the scales to go a bit on the same levels there, because we have enough men doing this.
The creative process is obviously not an easy thing to express or to bring out to other people, especially if there is a collaborative process where people come from different backgrounds, they have different influences, they have different social situations. So it's definitely not easy to do it. But I think here at Louvana Records we try and provide a safe environment that we put them in, and we try to make them realize that they can express themselves.
For me it's easy because I'm a very expressive person and I like to show myself to people. But sometimes it was a bit hard because you really need to think of the other person as well, as some people are very sensitive or yeah. It was easy but difficult at the same time.
Like when we came, everyone has a different doll, like a system to work with the music. And it was the first day and I was terrified. How will we get the tracks between us? Like how? It was so difficult for me because I'm used to work with MIDI files because I see the notes, I know what to do with them, and when I get the audio, I'm not a perfect musician. I can't just hear a note and know what note it is. I have to see, so I was terrified. But then we learned, and you can just bounce audio files to another person, then get it back, and you can work with that. Like, it's not that difficult as it seems first.
We communicated a lot. I think it was very important that we hung out a lot, not just did co-writing sessions, and we had lunch together, we had dinners together, we had drinks at nights, talked a lot, laughed a lot, and I think all of that gradually created a very safe environment for us.
I think it's all about that. It's all about bringing your individuality, because you're in a space where you're really called for being very vulnerable in a very intense way in a very short amount of time. So, I mean, I don't know if that is going to come out totally like in the music, but I think each person involved is kind of called to bring their own on the table when collaborating with the other people that they just met from another country.
If a person is afraid to do some group stuff, I try to encourage to do that, because it's the way to improve yourself, to be a better person and to be better to yourself.
Since, it's very important to kind of have that perspective from another person, because it can open up new roads for you to follow while creating, and that's what changed for me doing this, because I wasn't good at this before.
Life experience. For me, because I was working alone as a composer, I used to work alone, and now I was in a team, and the first feeling was appreciation, and I feel valued, I feel loved, I'm included, and that the ideas that I have and all the self-doubt, it wasn't existing, it was good. It was amazing how we worked together, and you need to leave space to the other one to express and say ideas, and then work on it and build and create something unique.
This project is certainly a challenge, and as far as I could see, for everyone. I'm amazed that we managed to find the common ground and that we managed to diagnose which are our strengths and how to proceed, and if there was an obstacle, we tried till it was resolved. So I know that I managed to express different parts of my individuality, and I'm happy with the results, even though there were some compromises, but I realized that I have to trust the process more than I thought is possible for me. Maybe it was a stereotype that I'm not proud of, but I mean, we all have them and we're all humans. I thought, because I usually work mainly with men in this business, because mainly men in Croatia are producers. I thought, 6 women, same place, 2 weeks, and then more and more and more. I thought it's gonna be rough, but actually I was so pleasantly surprised.
Of course, there's no songwriters. And if there are, I bet they are, we don't know them as much as we know men. And especially mothers are not able to work as much as they want. I lost a job when I was pregnant because I thought that it was too hard. The play that I had to create music was too hard for me as emotions. And I couldn't control it because I was pregnant. I was like, no, I'm good. And the director wasn't feeling sure enough. So yeah, I mean, the stereotypes in Cyprus especially are there. You're a mother, you're a mother. And if you want to do it, you need to work hard and work very, very hard to make it happen. Especially for me to come here every day was the biggest challenge because as mom, I decided to be with my kids and I had to create a whole supporting system of people for me to be here. But it's now or never. It's now or never. I want to do it for myself, I want to do it for my kids. I want them to feel free and not grounded to do it. I want them to have the obstacles, of course, because that's life, and find a solution and overcome the obstacle. So I wanted to make it happen. It's me, it's not an obstacle, it's the life that I created because I want it. And I want music to be, it's my second life, it's not my second life, it's a parallel life. And I want those things, those two lives to coexist.
Growing up, and if you think about, okay, I want to make music, usually what comes to mind is to be a singer, performer and stuff like that, you know. You don't think about, maybe I want to try to be a sound engineer, or maybe I want to, like, I don't know, play the drums, or an instrument that is more typical for a man to play, or, but especially the technical aspect is kind of under the rug somehow, and you don't think about this kind of stuff. And I personally, before starting to produce, I never thought that I would be able to produce. I never thought that this is for me, because I was scared that it's too technical. I was scared that I didn't know about women who do it. Only when I started to get into the subject, then I started realizing that it's not so complicated, and then I started getting into this topic of women who do sound production, and I discovered so many women there, and I had no idea about this. And I discovered about so many female producers that are behind, for example, very famous tracks. But we know about producers like Timbaland, for example. We don't know about producers who are behind Jay-Z's famous tracks. And there are so many others, like, not just now, but years ago, that have done amazing things, like the soundtrack for Doctor Who. You don't know about this.
The one thing that quickly comes to mind as a stereotype in the music industry is that women cannot be producers or engineers. I encountered a lot of times people saying that, oh, you're a woman and you're doing, sound for a band. You're making them sound good. How could you? I'm like, I have ears. Isn't that the criteria? Only that? And taste maybe? And that's it? And maybe some knowledge, and you go along and you learn. So I hate that aspect of the business that, women cannot be producers, cannot call the shots. You can be a producer because everyone here was a producer. Everyone had input when it came to sounds, when it came to melodies, when it came to the lyrics. They had the choice and the option to do it. And that's not a common thing.
I think it all comes from people's insecurity. If you're trying to, show a woman how to do things because you're a man and this is how we play drums or this is how we... I think it's pathetic, I don't even want to try and say or think of examples. What I'm more interested in is actually changing it. And that's what we were doing with our festivals, the way we're booking, more female artists or more mixed bands, gender mixed bands. Even me in my music these days, I always have like female musicians in my bands.
Yeah, I think the stereotype that women want to be only performers, that they are mainly performers because they cannot write. While sometimes I don't think they have the opportunity. Also, not just write, produce even more. That women can't be producers, that women cannot be technicians, sound engineers. I think music for women performers or singer-songwriters in Croatia is very, very sexualized. So I have a feeling if a man wants to do something in music, he can mainly, he can choose like how he wants to be portrayed. And if I sing about, I don't know, nature, but I'm still wearing a short skirt, it's always kind of sexualized in a way. And
I definitely noticed men not behaving well when some woman is sitting on a mixer or using software or being in a position, let's say, that the stereotype has always set up a man sitting on that position. So we definitely notice that, we definitely see it, and we do think that it's not cool to be noticing that in 2022.
What we said about this project in the beginning was we don't want to give you any directions of styles of music, and we don't want to give you any directions of themes. I mean, just because, you know, we're making art here, and just because we're under this project, it doesn't mean that we have to have, okay, write about this subject. What comes out is that through this process and through people opening up to each other, to be, you know, vulnerable, to create together, what I saw coming out was mainly very sort of personal songs about personal issues. Strong songs, I would say, about those things. And I think, and I like seeing that because, and also last year's record as well had a lot of that. And it's very interesting to see because somehow all these songs, they connect with each other. And the way they connect is people connecting with their true self. And for me in art, that's the most important thing than anything else. I mean, okay, you can say something about something you don't like, but it's the way you're gonna say it.
And to be honest, I find it more creative and more and more sensitive, I would say, if I can use that word. That might sound a bit stereotype, but it does feel that when we're working with more women, the music is a bit more sensitive, or the procedure has a more sensitive approach.
We didn't decide beforehand, everything came natural, and I think from sharing experiences, everything came together and we put up the pieces and we make a puzzle. Catcalling in the streets, for example, it was something that we experienced during the project, and it gave us this idea. It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna write about it. And it was something that it was urgent inside us, and it helped us to get it out there.
We figured out early on in this project is that it's very different than, for example, the other project we did last year, which was from all over Europe, people from all over Europe. The underrepresented regions things are very different for us. There isn't really strong industries that can support your work. So we start with that handicap. We start with the insecurity. I mean, this whole thing just creates insecurity. So that's what we had to work with, to find a common place and a common space to understand each other, and in the end understand that we all come from these sort of countries. You know, we don't have it easy, basically. So yeah, that's what I learned from this project, and that it takes a lot more energy for me and for Andreas to sort of, you know, make this happen. We're really glad we did this because we're learning a lot as well.
I definitely think that women identifying persons need more opportunities, and I think by going through this process we might be able to just put a small stone in this thing that we've all been observing the last few years.
I think it's very pleasant to work with women. In the real world, you will never face such a situation that you come into a studio and all are women. Like, it's impossible. When you meet women and see of what they're capable of, this is mind-blowing. This is very inspiring because I remember myself being a young girl, listening to music. I love music like, from the start, but I was like, female musician, it's about like singing some pop stuff which I don't really like, and I was like, I like guy bands more. And now I realize, like, now I understand why that happened, because women couldn't express themselves as they wanted to. And now I can see a big change happening because women now can make what they want to make. And they're not just singers, pop stars, whatever. It's happening. And I want to be in this change.
And it was a pleasure to work with women and unfold ourselves out there.
I felt myself, I felt free, not someone to be bossy around and I don't want to sound a bit harsh, but it was all girls. It was a known place for me.
I think I learned a lot from this project here, and I hope I can use it in the future so that I don't allow my fears to prevent me from going further in similar processes that could be very good and lead to really good results. Because I do believe that collaboration is something really valuable and amazing, and when people combine their strengths, they could really achieve a very beautiful result. So
it is a challenge because everything is visible. Women are so into it. You have to be the best actor to go through this and not break down physically at once. We pick up on things as women so easily, and energy shifting and, you know, anyone being in a very weird spot mentally, we pick that up immediately, so there's nowhere to hide. With men, it's like, go, do, come on, be practical, we gotta be doing things. With women is, are you okay?
it has changed my perception a lot because I was always doing stuff alone, and I always had this feeling that roles need to be split very clearly. I'm the lyricist, he's writing or she's writing music, this one is a producer. Here everything is intertwined, very nicely combined, and this was my first collaborative process in that way, so it has changed my perception a lot, and I realized that this is something I shouldn't be afraid of. I actually like it very much, and the process is faster.
I would say that I actually, I knew that I'm gonna enjoy it, and I like to work with women, and I would say that there were triggering points as well, but I feel like the choice for the participants in this project was very, very well done.
I think mainly it starts with for me it starts with the people. So the bonds that are being created, the opening up, the learning, hopefully changing for the best, into like making positive changes in people. But also obviously it's not just a community, it's like we're talking about people coming from completely different countries. And we see the culture differences, And one thing I said a couple of times in this project, I was saying please respect each other, respect the other's pace, because not everyone has the same pace to do things, the same pace to process things. People might get overwhelmed, you know. So the acceptance. I think the acceptance for me is like on the top of my list in general in life, but also in this sort of kind of projects. Because if you don't, like these projects, what do? They show you the other's deepest self, the most vulnerable self.
And we come together and we create such a beautiful experience.
Support and feeling that you are not alone in this, that when you're struggling with something at home and not working with anyone, you might think this is only your problem, your issue, no one understands you, and that might be the point, especially for women, when they stop. They say, this is not for me. But in a community, you can not only feel that you're not the only one feeling like this, you can both be the support, have the support, like you can both teach and learn. That's the most beautiful thing for me here.
All the multicultural things that you get from one another, the ideas that they input in the song, you learn everything about their culture, you grow as a person, you realize different things, you appreciate what you have, or you see what you want to have. I mean, if they have something better in your culture, you're seeking that. Now I, especially me, I have demands, and from the country, from the government, from my family, you can see and you realize that how beautiful every culture is and different. I'm so grateful that I'm here. I feel so lucky that I'm here.
Made it a very safe space and place and kind of group to express anything from, sexual opinions to political opinions.
I think at the very end, the most important thing is the friendships that stay behind and the people that they've met 2 or 3 months ago over a Zoom meeting, and now they just had lunch together and they seem very happy to be together, and hopefully later they will collaborate together on other projects, or even talk with each other, or even exchange experiences or ideas or concerns. I think that's the most important thing, and I think that's what makes us feel proud of what we do the last few years, that the fact that people that are around our projects, they usually get well together at the very end, and they usually collaborate, and they usually try other projects, or they're just friends, become friends.
Well, we do have a choir one now.
Still